How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a quick unboxing of a rifle that I got in. Actually, it's a carbine that I got in, but it's something that's always been kind of on the back of my list. It's one of those things I didn't know enough about them to really dive in and get an original kind of World War II era condition one. But recently I decided, since I got my M1 Garand, that I really wanted to try to get one finally. So I posted one to buy it actually on the CMP forums, and I had a couple people message me, and this one I bought was actually the one I liked the most, and I felt like it was basically exactly what I wanted. And it's a really neat, short little carbine from World War II, so we're going to unbox it. I already got this kind of undone, and let's take a look at what we've got. So, it's a really light box. You can already see this is not a particularly big rifle. So let's see if we can get all this stuff off. I might be able to just slide it out of some of this right here. You can probably already tell what we've got here. So I'll come out, I'll say this is an M1 Carbine. And this is neat because this is an all original, as issued World War II condition gun. So the carbines went through a lot of reworks and stuff during the war and directly after World War II. So it's really difficult to find one that's like as it was issued, essentially. Let's see if we can get this off. Perfect. Little guy there. Awesome. So here it is. It is a World War II condition IBM M1 Carbine. And then I know somewhere, I think the magazine fell out. There it is. And it did include an original World War II actual IBM magazine, so we can put that right in there. Awesome. So this is really neat. This is as issued. We've got our flip sight on there. As you can see, no bayonet lug, bayonet mount on this, I should say, sorry. It's got the high wood stock, so you can see later in the war and post-war, this was actually cut down so you could see as it operated here. It's kind of hard to tell now, but they realized that this was coming off and cracking and stuff like that, so they ended up getting rid of that. It's got, it'll be hard to see, but it's got a flat bolt here as well, which is really neat. It's got the original inspector stamp there. This is an original World War II sling. The owner who sold me this had one laying around, so he included it. And overall, it looks pretty good. I have never owned an actual M1 carbine like this. I have a post-war rebuild, so this is going to be the first one I've ever owned that's like this. So we'll take a quick look at some of the details of this and just look a little in depth. So first thing to look at here is the back of the receiver. We can see it says IBM Corp. So IBM was one of the later starters of the carbine production. They didn't start quite as soon as like some of those other subcontractors that they did. But they got production started really quick, and they produced a lot of carbines. They were one of the lower produced ones, but they were not the lowest. So they were high enough up there. And then you can see we've got our flip style rear sight. You can see here it has not had the adjustable rear sight added. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's got the original slash kind of style staking that these rear sights had. And as you can see, it's just that flip style, so you got the two positions for it. You can also see here we've got a flat style bolt. This was later changed out with the more common like round style, just because it held up a little bit better. It didn't crack as much up here near like the lugs and everything. And it was just a better design in that sense. So a lot of those got replaced when they were refurbished post-war, and then they started producing them late World War II as well. And of course, right here you got our M1 Carbine markings. It is marked U.S. Carbine caliber 30 M1. When it comes up to here, you can see we've got a 2-rivet handguard. Later on, this was replaced with 4. It just held the handguard retaining piece in a bit more securely. And like I said earlier, you can see the high wood stock that kind of hides your op rod here. These, like I said, a lot of these broke kind of easily. It's a thin piece of wood, and then later in the war, they just stopped doing that. They did what they call the low wood stock version. And here you can see there is no bayonet mount at all. It has the what they call the Type 1 swivel, or I'm sorry, it's Type 1 front band. Later, this is replaced with one that was a bit more stocky and secure, but the early ones had this style. And then later is the Type 3. That's the one that has the bayonet logo up here. And you can see there's no real evidence that this ever had that there. A lot of times you can see like some masking or some like shading differences where the bayonet lug mount covered up the barrel and the finish looks a little bit different. That's one way to tell if you've got a carbine that was restored, you know, modern day post-war by folks that find all the parts and correct it and make it look as accurate as it could to like a World War II issued carbine. And then down here we've got our inspector stamp on IBM carbines. They only had the cross cannons on the right hand side of the buttstock like this, so there won't be like an actual, like on like Winchester you see like a WRA in a box, or sometimes just by itself, and there's other makers marks you'll see, but the only final inspector stamp is right there. So thanks for tuning into my channel again. It's really neat to do an unboxing like this. This is like I said, this is something I didn't think I'd ever own. I was always had an interest in like US stuff, but I focused on Japanese and kind of Russian stuff for so long, and to be honest, I didn't want to spend the money on the prices some of these US arms go for. So it was neat to finally bite the bullet and get something that's pretty hard to find. Like, these carbines don't show up in this condition too often, and what you find a lot of times is ones that were like restored by folks post-war. They get the books and find all the parts and the different manufacturers and subcontractors that go on each one of these carbines and then rebuild it to look like that. But one of the toughest parts is finding like a stock that hasn't gone through a refurb or been re-arsenal marked, which is what a lot of these stocks, when they would go through that kind of thing, they would get remarked. And you'd find other markings that wouldn't be correct for like the World War II era. And then, like I said, you'll see a lot where the shadow of the bayonet mount is still on there. And you can tell that they changed it. But this one doesn't have any evidence of that. I mean, this one looks, if it was restored, it's hard to tell. All the parts look pretty uniform in terms of like bluing and wear and everything. I know the barrel looks a little light, but the IBMs tend to have a lighter colored barrel compared to like the receiver and the rest of the gun. And even the front sight does look a little bit different color than the rest of the barrel does. So that tends to make me think that this is as original as it gets. And it was nice to Seller included a World War II era sling on there too. So hopefully some point I'll take this out shooting, and maybe I'll do a video on that just to show that, and maybe take the other carbine out at the same time. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and hopefully there'll be more content coming up. Have a good one.